This comment was left underneath one of my Idaho 4 videos as it reads, "Why did he leave Dylan?" If you are not new here, then you know the way that I think and view and dissect this case is very different compared to other content creators who speak about this case. But I think that this is a very valid question. I do personally believe that there is some significance to the fact that Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen were the first two to arrive home that early morning. And then next, Ethan and Xana were the next ones home, and the last ones home were Kaylee and Maddie. It's so eerie to think, and when I see that video footage from the Grubhub truck, those were the last images of Kaylee and Maddie ever being alive. Now, I'm very curious because in the PCA on page 3, if you see me looking up, it's because my laptop's behind me with the PCA pulled up. But it says DM and BF both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were at home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m. But then it goes on to say, this is with the exception of Xana Cornudo, because Xana Cornudo received a DoorDash at 4 a.m. Okay, stay with me, guys, because you know sometimes I can ramble. So the PCA goes on to say that DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she said sounded like Kaylee Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedroom, which was located on the 3rd floor. So at 4 a.m., at first, the PCA states that all the occupants at the King Road's house were in their room. Then it goes on to say, with the exception of Xana, because she received a DoorDash at 4 a.m. Then it goes on to say that Dylan was approximately woken up at 4 a.m. because she heard Kaylee Gonzalez playing with her dog. Now, Dylan allegedly opened her door 3 times. You know, first time, Kaylee playing with her dog, as I just stated. Second time, she heard a male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And I believe she heard crying. Third time is when she saw this figure in her house who made her allegedly freeze into place. Now, that's a lot happening at 4 a.m. Now, the part that really gets me is in the PCA, it states that the homicides allegedly occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. And my question is, how? How did the detectives get this time frame? Because A, you have this suspect car, the white Hyundai Elantra, speeding from the scene at 4:17 a.m. and that was caught on camera. And then at 4 a.m. is when Dylan and Bethany, whatever statements they made to these investigators, their statements made them believe that all the occupants in the Kings Road house were in their room by 4 a.m. It states that in the PCA. But then it also states that Xana got a DoorDash at 4 a.m. So how did they get the starting point of 4 a.m.? When the PCA, let's go back, the PCA states that Dylan, 4 a.m. was the first time that Dylan opened her door. The first time that Dylan opened her door out of 3 times. So it's just like, how much time in between was it between the second time she opened her door, when she heard the male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you"? Then how much time in between was it the third time she opened her door, when she heard, or when she saw this person, you know, where she was so frozen in shock, but not enough to not recognize that they had bushy eyebrows, not recognize their build, that it was a man. Page 4. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phrase. That sentence is so important, and I need people to understand they could have redacted a lot of this information, but they did not, and it makes me wonder why.